Hello once again. Welcome back to another Haphazard Universe Productions. Hup, 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 hup. H-U-P, hup. I am starting this production by just, once again, as always, thanking my subscribers, showing a lot of my subscribers, and getting some ideas through my subscribers on what to communicate about. Now, some people like to hear personal information about who's delivering the information. That would be me. And so I'm going to go into a little bit of personal information about when I first moved to San Francisco in 1974. Yeah, 1974. And some of my escapades in San Francisco. Hey, what was I going to talk about? I was going to tell you about some of the days I spent in San Francisco, and it all boils down to this right here. And you go, what are you, a pot dealer? Yeah, but no. The thing is, I met a guy who had glaucoma, and he was in trouble the day I met him. Four, maybe five people were about to, I don't know, put him down, put him under, because he owed these people some money. And I just happened to overhear it in the hallway of the hotel I was living at, the Civic Center Hotel. And so I stepped up and I said, hey, how much does this guy owe you that you're going to, paste him for? And they said, $8. This is serious. Can't make this up. This poor guy had on thick bottle-bottom glasses, and he was cowering in the corner of a hallway about to be beaten half to death for $8. And so I, having a lot of tips in my pocket, said, hey, listen, I'll cover his debt. I'll even give you 10. Just leave him alone. So that's how I met Robert Williams, and he was a part of the glaucoma testing under Gerald Ford, President Ford, for medical marijuana. He hadn't received his first shipment, and apparently these thugs did not know his arrangement, that the government had set him up for testing, and he was about to receive shipments of 10 pounds USDA government-grown pre-rolled marijuana cigarettes to test for, glaucoma and how it affected the details of such. So at any rate, it was fortunate for me to have run into Mr. Williams at that particular point in time, because of the glaucoma testing, because of my stepping up for him as a man and helping him out as a person. However, I wanted to mention that when I stepped up for Robert Williams, it was because I needed some sleep. These guys were making all this noise in the hallway, and it cost me $8 to shut them up, basically. But from Bob's viewpoint, I saved his life, and he owed me for the rest of his life. That's the way he saw it. And I just wanted to get some rest. I'm like, don't worry about it. Forget about it. I got kind of a Chicago attitude. Hey, it's $8. Who cares? I'll tip that on a cup of coffee on a good day. At any rate, I wanted to mention that Robert took it really personally and befriended me deeply for the rest of his life. There was more to the story, but I wanted to mention that he really, really appreciated that momentary detail that I was just, in my view and his view, they were very different. And I would have to suppose it is our differences in viewpoints, as well as our similarities in viewpoints, that give us our perspective of, what we consider as perspectives. Each individually for us, a comparative reality and analysis between viewpoints. That is everything I have done in every work I have created in my YouTube experience. And so I've got more stories to tell, but at one point I was invited to step onto this person's film set. Now, she was filming a foul play and a street scene where a truck drove through a restaurant window. And I was fortunate enough to be on that, or, watching the set So thanks for that. And then I ran into this guy, but I only saw his butt. He was behind my bar. He went behind my coffee bar to go get a couple of glasses of parfait glasses. And I didn't know it was him. I just saw somebody behind my bar where you're not supposed to be. So the first words I said to this guy was, let's see, get the hell out of the bar. You're 86th for life. What the fuck do you think you're doing? And then he turns around and he goes, hey. And I'm like, oh man, sorry, but you don't. And yeah, even the owner knows you can't walk back here without my permission. He apologized. He was a super nice guy. He had a box of chocolates that he was getting a parfait dish to put some of these chocolates into, and he sat and talked to me for 15 minutes, and it was a very pleasant individual. And gave me the box of chocolates. And so anyway, I can honestly say for the rest of my life that I 86'd Bill Cosby from a bar. And it's true. So anyway, I have more escapades, but I'd like to get into some of the curious anomalies. I just wanted to share a little bit of my personal life with you. Yeah. What people find interesting. Do you have any idea? I mean, I know what I find interesting personally. This whole lightning wand antiquitech thing. This particular video that I did on, the electromagnetics and how things are built, how information is received and transceived, and how electromagnetics work. And my contention has always been in using these weapons, we need gloves like this for more reasons than that. And we need to start welding, just like this guy over here. Hey, buddy. Yeah, put on a nice thick bead. However, in this issue, I was talking about the way things are created, made up, and were made up to harvest the electrons in the atmosphere. And another one of my contentions was that our atmosphere, in order to use these things right here and transfer energy through these things, our atmosphere had to have been tighter in its layers. In other words, let's see if I can get a layer here of the atmospheric layers, which is right there. You see these layers, 100 volts, 200 volts, 300 volts. My contention is, and always has been, since I've actually started doing this research, is that this 1, 2, 3 had to have been 2, 4, 6, or even higher in voltage for the transfer of plasma. So that was the contention of this. There are a lot of, or I should say there is a lot of evidence in this part right here is where our friendly government is doing stuff, okay? And then people are like, whoa, what are you doing? Why don't you tell us what you're doing? And I think they're affecting and adjusting that which I was just showing you, with their little pretty pictures up here. Will you marry me? Oh, is that what that says? Well, I see up here, I see 2 butterflies and a gargantuan beetle. And then down here is a picture of Mickey Mouse. Right. Why don't they tell us what they're doing? I guess you might want to, what is it? That barium oxide and those aluminum particles, etc., etc. What was I getting at? I was getting at the changes they made or have been made from the past to the present. How the electromagnetics of the past were compared to the electromagnetics of the present. And we can send signals all across this place of existence within which we reside. And so we need to kind of take some clues on our abilities to send the signals, our ways to harvest energy, and our ways to use energy, and what was available to earlier man. We know things were different. And so how much different, in what ways they were different, and could we access, if we were to tighten up, well, you could look at it this way. If you're under a bowl and the bowl is pressed down, the compression of the electromagnetics within that bowl would, the compression of the electromagnetics would tighten up. You press down on the top, this goes to 2, 4, 6. You press down more, this goes to 4, 8, 16, whatever the equations are in the amount of voltage. And I think that that top was a lot closer. And that's why it was easier to harvest and use the electromagnetics of the past. The vibrations were transferred so much differently, if that were the case, and then to study what would be the actual case if that were the truth. If this were compressed down, what would be the outcome reaction to our physical nature, to our abilities to use the electromagnetics in the air, in the atmosphere. And in my humble opinion, it is looking from a different perspective than I have looked from before that gives me insight and intuition. So I'm just going to take the basic fundamental top views videos and have a quick look-see with a different perspective. Like, what are you talking about in this particular viewpoint, aside from just making fun of things? Here we're looking at fashion, at all the different varieties and viewpoints of Tartarian fashion. And then, of course, what is he talking about? What is this? Tartaria got over here, where they came across the shortest distance would be the Alaskan jump from Russia to Alaska. Yeah, that's one theory, but then, I don't think it's scientifically validated. All right, Mr. Renard. And what else are you saying? Right. See how they're just totally separated rather than Alaska. Oh, right, the layouts. They are actually close together, but they appear to be... Now, apparently there's a new map coming out. I just heard of this yesterday. So, not sure. I haven't done a search on it. I'm just getting some ideas in my haphazard way of looking at myself in a different viewpoint. And this was more of a joke. That was also having fun with it. I love the nuns in go-karts. I mean, who doesn't love that? Come on. Who's with me? And the Genghis Khan relations. My curiosity is in history in itself and as it's presented, and how much is really of... I mean, you could... His story, that is a lot of what we're dealing with. And the particle physics, whenever I mention in my videos about particle physics, I am actually talking about the separations that are bestowed upon us by our regime, by each of our government. I mean, it's all one huge government, basically, and we kind of need to come to understand that. I have fun and joke around with a lot of things. Little things are a little too sensitive for some people, but I will do what I need to do to convey the information and ideas that I consider to be pertinent and important. And so looking through the numbers is the main thing that I'm doing in this particular one, and what I was talking about in each. And I know that's part of my production value is the spontaneity and the momentary situations, along with the concurrence of what's actually showing on the page, and whether or not that is important to people. What has happened in the past is important to us. To what degree? And now what's happening now in relation to, could this be triggered, this right here, what you see, by the vibrations of 5G or the basic microwave details that are being spread across the plane of existence, however you want to see it. The point is Is it an issue? Is it a proper, appropriate, or important issue for us? And right, something. A lot of this in what I do is conveying not only the information, but the vitality of that information, and whether or not it really has a difference and makes a difference, or we're just peering down the rabbit hole for curiosity's sake, which is very often the case. And that was my shoe squeaking just a moment ago. I love the dragon pieces and the curiosities and land from above. And so, and also the momentary spontaneity that occurs during production. And it can only occur at this point. And so, thanks for joining. We may look at some more here. And in one of my past videos, I'll bring up the old currency issue, and when Lincoln was printing his own currency at the beginning of the Civil War. And this quote right here: "That's easy, just get Congress to pass a bill authorizing the printing of full legal tender treasury notes and pay everybody." Basically, it was my... And now, when you start thinking about currency and what value is and what is of value, how do I put this most effectively? Because I've had people say, let's print our own currency, each individual person. And I know it sounds crazy, and I wouldn't. But here, let me give you an example. If I needed a house, and I said, I have a different type of currency, and I need a house built. And I was talking to a contractor, and he goes, well, how much do you want to pay for the house? I said, I'll give you 200 pounds of the best damn weed on the planet for you to build me a house. Now, some contractors would say 200 pounds of weed, no way, you're out of your mind, ain't gonna happen. Other contractors would say, you got yourself a deal and a beautiful home. And because the translation is approximately to $400,000 home, and that is just in the building. So that's a pretty nice house. However, some people don't see it as currency, and other people do see it as currency. And I'm not just talking about weed. I'm talking about any commodity that you consider to be important or valuable enough to back you or your position. Like if you're a corn farmer, or soybean farmer, or a cattle farmer, whatever, cattleman. Right. So what do we consider important? And that seems to be the bottom line of this particular essay, is are not only within our currency of financial, the fakery currency that we like to put down and adore at the same time, and idolize and worship and have shrines for and kill people for, etc. However, the importance and value of each individual's decisions in what's important and valuable over what, and to change our financial the financial institution basis, fundamental way our society is formed and created around money and has been for so many years, it is relatively difficult to bring up another way to do it. I do the most fundamental way. The government or our president, we amend bills to create our own money, and then that chain reacts on a planetary level. However, if the amount of control is so far beyond anything you can touch right now, all you can do is talk about it, and it gets to be just a shade boring on the constant saying we should do something, what can we do about it, and other people will have better ideas than I, and I don't like to sound like I'm complaining. I do like to bring up possible solutions. So, what are we going to do, gang? How are we going to handle it? Any ideas? All right, you talked me out of it. And in one of my recent comments, I have somebody mentioned the fish right here. See the fish outline shape? It's a funny thing when you become familiar with these things, and then I've mentioned this in a couple of other past videos. You kind of think everybody already knows it, and so you just glaze by stuff as you're talking, which I do quite frequently, to my shame and regret and remorse and sin. Damn it, I'm gonna burn in hell for this fish. Yeah, and I just kind of assume everyone knows it's sitting there. There's a big fish and the dragon up here, the mud fossil or outline of the dragon, and its head's up here. The spooge comes out of its face here and hits the fish. Dun dun dun, melts it, and they fall together in a catastrophic collision. I suppose there's something that looks so much like an eyeball right there in the middle of your screen is about there, I suppose, or there. It's not. I know it's just a mountain, but it does have that formation of. It's just a. See what these ridges are. Yeah, there would be the iris of the eyeball, if you were to look that way, I suppose. But now we're talking about the dragon and the scales and all that. And I didn't intend to bring it up, but somebody mentioned it in a comment. Amen. And see these spiky things, or what appears to be, and it's like, okay, well, there is no dragon there. What are you, nuts? What are you, out of your dragon-loving mind there, wackadoo? But the thing is, you have spikes, or the appearance of these spiky spike things, all along the neck area, along here. And you go, wow, if that were true, it would go all the way down its body. And so if you look at the formation, you go, okay, let's check this out. See if it goes all the way along, the spikes, spiky appearances, spikes. And you get in there, and it does have that spiky effect, or illusion, or appearance. And then you go, well, okay, that's a neckline, if that's the hypothesis that this was a large creature that fell and dented the land and then decayed and, turned to dust and whatever. Filtered away. If that were it, then you've got a tail, and you've got the main body up, at the top area, the legs down here, and all the people that have seen this in the past, through Roger at Mud Fossil University, or in my exposition of what could have been, start getting into those spikes, and that looks like a texture. And where that would be on the creature would be at the tail, or in the tail end area. So let's look at a little more of the texture that's sticking up and see if that has that, crossed grain lizardy effect look. And it really seems, it's easy to convince yourself, but there are some spots in these upper layers that really look scaly, like this one, for instance. And that looks very textured, as if it were some sort of scale area. And so thus the conspiracy of a massive dragon. Now if you're going to prove, if the scales were on top, then down below would be all of this calcified, mineralized, I forgot what the name of the type of stone that it turns into. It's all looks just like dirty dirt stone, but it is fossilized biological material that can be tested. So that's all quite curious. And to bring it up as a curiosity doesn't mean, hardly more than a curiosity, but why would we have dragons and giants and that sort of thing in our history texts? And that is, once again, it could be argued that that's what we're given. And a lot of different viewpoints on these flows and the images within the flows are prevalent in quite a number of videos' contents. Yeah, and it is curious when you're getting close on the amounts of water that you consider, or is no, these aren't. I apologize. These are chunks of something. Mountains. Jumpy mountains. Huh. Bauxite, calcite minerals, I suppose. I mentioned I'm going to be having an interview with a geologist and paleontologist, and my sister has been dating him for quite some time. However, and he owns a great shop that has tremendous amounts of stuff in it. I've shown a couple of the videos in the past of his place. I don't like to get too close to home in my expositions commonly, but now as you like, comment, and subscribe, I will have more interest in getting these things executed, even though I ask for naught, aside from your pleasant attitude and curiosities. And add, please. Let's take a look at where we're at here. The Skull of Africa. All right. Well, I came into this area to look at something I had spotted in a past video. However, I thought it was just above the back of the dragon, and it was a absolute face. It was so curious. I saw it in a past as I was surveying my other work, or catastrophes is more like it. Don't see it at this moment, but it was just above the back, and it was a definite face looking. It created the illusion, the appearance of a face absolutely looking, staring at the sky. Don't see it. Damn it, Jim. I'm going to have to go back through that video or find it in some future casting or creation. Yeah. It does make me wonder also why rivers flow like this. In this up and around and back over here. Now, oops, over there. Whoops, back over here. Whoa, now we're going to go over there. Up over here. It just really seems like they would go in more of a straight line. So, yeah, I suppose that's plate tectonics at work. And, right? So, wanted to get a little bit of this done, show a slight curiosity in this place and that, and bring up the fact that people haven't seen the dragon, seen the fish. Well, it's there. I'll bring it up in another video, and this one. So those who haven't seen it might want to just take a quick look at their own Google Earth. And the people that don't have Google Earth are going, thanks for doing this, man, because I don't have that crap on my computer. What is going on around here? Oh, I suppose it's just the lighting? No, it's not the lighting. This is a mining territory. And those are spoils, those layouts. Got to be. Yeah, and these are dump sites, and then there's the whole mining area. Run across a mining town. Where is it located? I believe it's somewhere up near... Oh, this has got to be quite popular in the European area. I'm going to leave it a secret. This is our secret mining place. I'm not going to divulge any information about it. But we have the distance being recorded from Morocco, or the word of Morocco. The word of Morocco is 67 miles, relatively, to Corbeil, to Corbeil, to Corbeil. So it's that far to that place in this area of our little place of existence. So like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll take a ticket to... Well, I will be sending out free tickets to Casablanca. Never. That's So it's got to be the mine. All right. All right. You got me. I need to know. The announcements, roads, 3D buildings, gallery. Okay. So what do we got going on with this place? Huge mining operation. I think they're mining dragon guts. That's my guess, because look at the obvious location. So what kind of runoff would happen if a huge creature died, mineralized, calcified, and ran off? Or when it fell, it pushed all kinds of stuff that way. And because it did that, it doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense, man. So if somebody from this town right here, Fquin Ben Salah, is that? Fick Ben Salah. So if anybody from Fick Ben Salah would, get in touch with me and let me know, what are you mining out here? Is that just your kids got some big toys and they like to play around, or it does make me curious. So what's your take on it, gang? Is it a silica mine, or what is your guess? Now I'm going to ask a geologist here when he gets back, but it's going to be about a month. So, place your bets, folks. Place your bets. What kind of a mine is this near Morocco? 66 miles from Fick Ben Salah, or no, it was from Morocco. I don't know. So I'm at least humble enough to admit when I don't know, and lazy enough not to do the research. So comment, like, and subscribe. Now put in your bets. I'm going to follow up on this, and I'm going to go through some of my past videos and look at some of the catastrophic errors that have been made. So feel free, if you know so much more, please tell me, so that you can educate this. When they go, well, I can do that for free. Yeah, well, I'm doing all these for nothing. Aside from a giggle, an idea. I do leave payment links, though, but nothing less than $10,000, please. Don't insult my intelligence. So comment, like, subscribe, and leave tons of cash. I don't care about the money. But I do put the link in because people, I'm telling you, have complained to me, like my mom. Why aren't you getting paid for this, you dumbass? So pay me, my mom bitch. Talk to you soon. Hey, don't forget to share if any of this is good, fun, or entertaining, or you knew Goldie Hawn or Bill Cosby. Have a nice day.